Donald Trump is responding to the D.C. Circuit Court of Appeals ruling, by and large affirming the trial court's gag order imposed on Donald Trump. Judge Tanya Chutkan imposed a gag order on Donald Trump. Donald Trump appealed to the D.C. Circuit Court of Appeals. In a 68-page ruling, the D.C. Circuit Court of Appeals, by and large, affirmed the gag order against Donald Trump, which is now in place. Here's what Donald Trump responded on his social media platform. He writes, "An appeals court has just largely upheld the gag order against me in the ridiculous J6 case, where the unselect January 6th committee deleted and destroyed almost all documents and evidence, saying that I can be barred from talking and, in effect, telling the truth. In other words, people can speak violently and viciously against me or attack me in any form, but I am not allowed to respond in kind. What is becoming of our First Amendment? What is becoming of our country? We will appeal this decision." There are so many falsehoods in this statement. Where to begin? First and foremost, who are the people talking violently and viciously against him in connection with the case involving his attempt to overthrow the result of the 2020 election, such that he needs to attack the witnesses, attack the court's staff, attack the special counsel's staff and family, because that is all he is barred from doing. It's just attacking witnesses, court staff and family, special counsel Jack Smith's staff and family. Going through this again, he says the January 6th committee deleted and destroyed almost all documents and evidence. It's just blatantly false. You can Google the documents and evidence, because mostly all of the January 6th committee's documents and evidence is posted online. It's archived online. When the MAGA Republicans took over in Congress, they removed it from the webpage that it was on, so it had to be posted in archives, but it's there and available for all to read. Special counsel Jack Smith has turned over millions of records to Donald Trump and Donald Trump's legal team, including all of the January 6th related documents and evidence. Donald Trump's lawyers brought that up sheepishly before Judge Tanya Chutkan, and it was pointed out in special counsel Jack Smith's opposition and ultimately in an order by the court that no, Donald Trump has received all of the records. It's not destroyed and deleted. Donald Trump is simply lying about that, as he lies about everything. And then Donald Trump says, what is becoming of our First Amendment? What is becoming of our country? We will appeal this decision. Well, it was the D.C. Circuit Court of Appeals, which oversees the federal court in Washington, D.C., Judge Tanya Chutkan. The appeals court made the ruling, so are you going to ask for an en banc hearing before the whole D.C. Circuit Court of Appeals? Because this was a very thoughtful order. You're going to go running to the United States Supreme Court. If you take a look at what the D.C. Circuit Court of Appeals said, it says, look, we do not allow such an order, a gag order, lightly, is what the D.C. Circuit Court of Appeals ruled. Mr. Trump is a former president and current candidate for the presidency, and there is a strong public interest in what he has to say. But Mr. Trump is also an indicted criminal defendant, and he must stand trial in a courtroom under the same procedures that govern all other criminal defendants. That is what the rule of law means. So when you say what has happened to the First Amendment, what has happened is the law regarding the First Amendment has been applied appropriately here. You can say a lot of things. You can't attack witnesses in a case where you are a criminal defendant, nor can you attack the court staff and family, nor can you attack the special counsel's staff and family members, or the special counsel's family members, as a method and means to trying to intimidate them. If you go through the very specific delineation of the gag order that the Court of Appeals affirmed, this is what the Court of Appeals said. The gag order is affirmed to the extent it prohibits all parties and their counsel from making or directing others to make public statements about known or reasonably foreseeable witnesses concerning their potential participation in the investigation or in this criminal proceeding. The order is also affirmed to the extent it prohibits all parties and their counsel from making or directing others to make public statements about 1. Counsel in this case other than the special counsel, 2. Members of the court staff and counsel staff, or 3. The family members of any counsel or staff members, if those statements are made with the intent to materially interfere with or to cause others to materially interfere with counsel or counsel staff's work in this criminal case, or with the knowledge that such interference is highly likely to result. We vacate the order to the extent it covers speech beyond those specified categories. And for example, Donald Trump can call special counsel Jack Smith deranged. He can say deranged Judge Tanya Chutkan, which we may find abhorrent and we may find inappropriate. But the Court of Appeals said when it comes to Donald Trump's mockery of them, while that behavior may be, this is not what the Court of Appeals said, but I'm improvising here slightly, while that may be the conduct of a petulant third-grade bully, the First Amendment allows that. We may not like it, but the First Amendment allows it.
This episode of the MeidasTouch podcast is brought to you by Manuka honey. Now it's getting cold out there, and it's time to start thinking about presents for the people that you love. And this miracle of nature, well, it just fell in my lap at the perfect time. Now this is a rare super honey that is 100% natural and has some unique properties. Manuka makes Manuka honey, a single origin honey that comes from New Zealand, where the bees only feed on the nectar of the Manuka tea tree, making honey that is pure, rich, and complex with a creamier texture that's on a completely different level from the normal honey that you find at the supermarket. You could use it as you would any other honey, but what puts the super in Manuka honey is that it's super rich in antioxidants and prebiotics, 3 times more compared to regular honey. On top of that, it contains an antibacterial compound called MGO that can be found exclusively in Manuka honey. The bottom line is that these nutrients really support your optimal immune and digestive health, and it's delicious. This is just the perfect way to treat myself with something that's going to keep me strong through the colder months, and the perfect gift for the people that I love to keep them sweet and healthy too. Manuka sent me a jar and squeeze bottle of their MGO 850 Plus Manuka honey, their best-selling honey, and it's truly delicious. The creamy caramel texture, well, it melts in your mouth, and it's unlike anything I've ever tried. I can grab a spoonful out of a jar, or put it in my favorite beverage, or squeeze on some oatmeal. It's delicious! I add the 850 Plus Manuka honey to my morning toast, and the flavor and consistency, it just makes for the perfect morning meal. If you head to manukora.com/Meidas, you could get $25 off their starter kit, which comes with the MGO 850 Plus Manuka honey, a free travel pack honey sticks, a free wooden spoon, and also a free guidebook. And this is just the perfect gift for a loved one this holiday season. Now, I love the jar and I love the squeeze bottle, but the extra pack of compostable honey sticks is perfect for whenever you're on the go. You can bring them with you wherever you're traveling, and it makes for the perfect snack while you're running errands. So head to Manukora, manukora.com/Meidas to get $25 off your starter kit. This is just the ultimate honey. Indulge and try some honey with superpowers from Manukora.
But what the First Amendment makes very, very clear in a case called Gentile is that the Supreme Court has held that the First Amendment allows a court to prohibit the speech of a trial participant, when the speech poses a, quote, substantial likelihood of material prejudice to an adjudicative proceeding. In so ruling, the court was explicit that the stringent standard applied in settings outside of the court does not apply to a speech by a lawyer whose client is a defendant in a criminal proceeding. One aspect of the Supreme Court's reasoning focused on lawyers' roles as officers in the court, a special status that subjects them to fiduciary obligations to the court and parties. But the court also drew on the distinction between participants inside the litigation, criminal defendants, and strangers to it. The court emphasized that it had in prior cases expressly contemplated that the speech of those participating before the courts could be limited. And with this distinction in mind, the court emphasized that participation in a case gives lawyers a distinctive public status and special access to information through discovery and client communications. Parties, too, have special access to information and accordingly may be subject to speech restrictions not appropriate to outsiders in a case. And then the Court of Appeals found the record before the district court and its factual findings. So what Judge Tanya Chutkin found, the record before the district court and its factual findings demonstrate that some of Mr. Trump's speech poses a significant and imminent threat to the fair and orderly adjudication of the criminal proceeding against him. They went on to cite in this 68-page order Donald Trump saying, if you go after me, I'm coming after you. Donald Trump attacking former Vice President Pence and saying he's going to the dark side. Donald Trump attacking former Lieutenant Governor of Georgia, Jeff Duncan, saying he shouldn't testify. Donald Trump saying of Mark Meadows that he was a weakling. Donald Trump going after Mark Milley. It goes through all of those. And then the D.C. Circuit Court of Appeal says Mr. Trump himself recognizes the power of his words and their effect on his audience, agreeing that his supporters listen to him like no one else. And Trump's documented pattern of speech and its demonstrated real-time, real-world consequences pose a significant and imminent threat to the functioning of the criminal trial process. That was the finding by the D.C. Circuit Court of Appeals based on the factual record. So, when Donald Trump posts what is happening to the First Amendment, what is becoming of our country, we will appeal this decision, people are speaking violently and viciously against me. No, you are a criminal defendant. You are not above the law, and everything you say is projection and confession. You are speaking violently and viciously against witnesses to the case, against the court staff, against the staff of Special Counsel Jack Smith and their family members. So here, the D.C. Circuit Court of Appeals did a appropriate balancing. They came to this conclusion. Donald Trump said you can say you want to appeal. This was the appeals court. So you can try to appeal more, go run to your friends at the Supreme Court, but this seems to be an appropriate application of the law here. And if anything, allowing you to bully Jack Smith and the judge is something that other litigants would likely not be afforded. However, the law that's been created here, though this is precedent, would actually now allow other litigants to go and call judges deranged and call a special counsel or prosecutor deranged under this body of case law. Think about that as Trump's legacy. And his legacy is to actually allow under the First Amendment people to call prosecutors and judges deranged. You just can't attack the families and the witnesses. Pathetic. I'm Ben Meiselas. This is the MeidasTouch Network. Hit subscribe. We're on our way to 2 million subscribers. Thanks to your support, and have a great day.
Hey Midas Mighty, love this report? Continue the conversation by following us on Instagram @MeidasTouch to keep up with the most important news of the day. What are you waiting for? Follow us now.